I need to start with the part that is hardest to say out loud, because I know how it sounds, and I have spent 3 years trying to find another explanation, and I have not found one. My grandmother passed away on a Sunday morning in March. She had been unwell for a while. It was not unexpected. She was 81 years old, and her health had been declining for the better part of 2 years, and the family had reached the point of quiet preparation that families reached when they understood what was coming, even if nobody said it directly. She passed away at home with my mother beside her. My mother called me at 9:47 in the morning to tell me. I remember the time because I looked at my phone when it rang and the numbers stayed in my head the way times did when they were attached to significant moments. I drove to my grandmother's house. I spent the day there with my mother and my aunt, dealing with the practical and emotional weight of the first day after losing someone. I got home at 10 that night. I was exhausted in the specific way of a day that had asked everything of you emotionally and given nothing back. I got into bed and closed my eyes. My phone rang. I looked at the screen. My grandmother's name. I sat up. I stared at the screen, her name and her number, calling me at 10:15 on the night she had died. My first thought was practical. Someone was at her house, my mother or my aunt, using her phone to call me for some reason instead of their own. I answered. I said hello. Silence. Not the silence of a dropped call or a bad connection. The silence of a connected line with someone on the other end. I said hello again. I said, Mom, is that you? Nothing. I sat in the dark in my bedroom and held the phone and listened to the silence on the other end. Then I heard something, faint, so faint that I pressed the phone hard against my ear to make sure I was hearing it. Breathing, slow and steady, the particular rhythm of someone breathing quietly on the other end of a phone. I said, Grandma. I do not know why I said it. It came out before I had decided to say it. The breathing continued for a moment, then the call ended. I called my mother immediately. I asked if she or my aunt were at the house. She said no. She said they had both left hours ago. She said the house was locked. I told her what had happened. She was silent for a long time. Then she said she would call me back. She called my aunt. My aunt had my grandmother's phone. She had taken it from the house that afternoon. It was in her bag. She checked it when my mother called. There was no outgoing call in the call history, no call to my number, no call to anyone. The phone showed no activity after 11 that morning. I sat in bed for a very long time after my mother called back and told me that. I am a practical person. I looked for explanations, a ghost call, a technical glitch, a network error that had somehow generated a call from a number attached to a phone that had made no such call. I researched all of these things. None of them fully explained what had happened. None of them explained the breathing. I have told this story to a small number of people, the ones I trust enough to say it out loud to without watching their faces for signs that they think I have imagined it or embellished it or constructed it from grief. And what I have found is that more people than I expected have a story like it. Not exactly like it, but in the same territory. A call from a number that should not have been calling. A moment of contact from someone who was no longer there to make contact. Something small and brief and impossible that happened in the raw hours after a loss. I do not know what it means. I do not have a clean explanation. I only know what I heard, and that when I said her name in the dark. The breathing on the other end of the phone changed, just slightly, just for a second. The way breathing changes when someone hears something they recognize and knows they are not alone. This is my father's story. He told it to me once when I was in my 20s, and he told it the way he told things that mattered to him, quietly, without decoration, like a man reporting something he had witnessed rather than something he was performing. My father was not a man who talked about things he could not explain. He was an engineer, methodical, precise. He believed in what he could measure and verify, and he had a low tolerance for anything he considered wishful thinking. He told me this story once and only once, and he told it like a fact. When my father was 34 years old, his best friend died in a car accident. His name was Pete. They had been friends since they were 7 years old. The kind of friendship that did not need maintenance because it had been built on something solid enough to survive the distances and distractions that adult life produced. They spoke on the phone every few weeks and saw each other a handful of times a year, and this was enough because it had always been enough. Pete died on a Wednesday night in November. My father did not find out until the following morning when Pete's wife called him. But something happened on Wednesday night that my father thought about for the rest of his life. He was asleep. He woke suddenly at 11:20. No sound had woken him, no dream that he could remember. He simply went from asleep to completely awake in an instant, with the particular jolt of it that had no apparent cause. He lay in the dark and waited for his heart rate to settle. Then he heard something from the hallway outside the bedroom. Footsteps. He assumed my mother had gotten up for some reason. He waited. The footsteps came to the bedroom door. He looked at the door. It opened. My father said he felt something in the room then. Not fear, something else. Something he described to me as a kind of weight, a presence. The way a room felt when someone entered it who had not been there a moment before. He said he knew immediately. He said he did not know how he knew. He said he simply knew with a certainty that arrived fully formed and required no reasoning that Pete was in that room. He said he could not see him. He said there was nothing visible. But he said the feeling was as clear and specific as any physical sensation he had ever experienced. He said he lay very still. He said the presence stayed in the room for perhaps 2 minutes. Then it was gone. My father lay awake for the rest of the night. In the morning, Pete's wife called. She said Pete had died the previous night in a car accident. She said it had happened around 11 o'clock. My father told me this story once. He told me he had never told anyone else. He told me he was not telling me because he wanted me to believe in anything supernatural. He said he was telling me because it had happened and it was true, and he believed in reporting things that were true, regardless of whether he could explain them. He said the only thing he could say with certainty was that he had been asleep, and then he had been awake, and something had been in that room with him, and that the timing was what it was, and that Pete had been his friend for 27 years, and that if he had been going somewhere, it made sense that he would stop on the way.
If you enjoy creepy stories like these, make sure to subscribe to Ember Reads, and remember, some stories are better left untold after midnight, because the next time you walk through a hospital hallway, you might not be alone.